Shalom everyone, YouTube land. How's everybody doing? So I'm going to start this video off with a couple of verses in the Torah, Deuteronomy 16, 13 through 15. Perform the festival of booths for 7 days after the ingathering, from your threshing floor and from your winepress. And you shall rejoice in your festival, you and your sons and your daughter, and your male servant and your female servant, and the Levite, and the stranger and the fatherless, and the widow who are within your gates. For 7 days you shall observe a festival to Yahweh your Elohim, in the place which Yahweh chooses, because Yahweh your Elohim does bless you in all your increase, and in all the work of your hands, and you shall only be rejoicing. I want to focus on those last 5 or 6 words. So a couple weeks ago, we had the festival of the ingathering, festival of Sukkot, festival of booths, Feast of Tabernacles, whatever you want to call it. But during this time, you are commanded, as children of the Most High, to only be rejoicing. So, question, what's the opposite of rejoicing? Complaining. So I want to talk about having an attitude of gratitude and complaining. Question, does the Most High like it when his people complain? We're going to look at some scriptures about that to see. It's interesting that a lot of times when someone's giving a teaching, they are preaching at themselves. And this one, I'm definitely preaching at myself. This is something I've been working on for quite some time, and I still struggle. You've heard the phrase, there's an app for that. Well, I have an iPhone, and I have an app on my phone, just a notepad, and I have a gratitude list, and I try to, every morning when I get up, read it. And it really helps me to not complain, to be thankful. I think that's a great way to start the day. So I'm going to go to Exodus 16. I'm going to read a good little piece, 2 through 35, just to get the context of what's going on. Verse 2. And all the congregation of the children of Israel grumbled against Moshe and Aaron in the wilderness. Uh-oh, not a good start. And the children of Israel said to them, if only we had died by the hand of Yahweh in the land of Mitzrayim, when we sat by the pots of meat, when we ate bread to satisfaction. So they got their bellies full pretty much. For you have brought us out into this wilderness to put all this assembly to death with hunger. So apparently they're struggling. And Yahweh said to Moshe, see, I am raining bread from the heavens for you, and the people shall go out and gather a day's portion every day in order to try them whether they walk in my Torah or not. He's testing them. And it shall be on the 6th day that they shall prepare what they bring in, and it shall be twice as much as they gather daily. And I just want to go on a little side rabbit trail, if you will. Here's a scripture to disprove the lunar Sabbath. Because if he did teach them by the moon, then you can't fit that in the context of these verses. Because he retrained them or taught them, if they never kept Sabbath before, by the manna, by the food he was providing. He had double portion on the 6th day of the week, so they didn't go out on the 7th. So he taught them the Sabbath by that, by the food he provided, not the moon. Okay, rabbit trail over. Okay, I'm going to start at verse 5. And it shall be on the 6th day that they shall prepare what they bring in, and it shall be twice as much as they gather daily. And Moshe and Aaron said to all the children of Israel, at evening you shall know that Yahweh has brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim. And in the morning you shall see the esteem of Yahweh, for he hears your grumblings, your complaints against Yahweh. And what are we that you grumble against us? And Moshe said, in that Yahweh gives you meat to eat in the evening, and in the morning bread to satisfaction. For Yahweh hears your grumblings, which you make against him. And what are we? Your grumblings are not against us, but against Yahweh. Moshe said to Aaron, say to all the children of Israel, come near before Yahweh, for he has heard your grumblings. And it came to be, as Aaron spoke to all the children of congregation of the children of Israel, that they looked toward the wilderness, and see, the esteem of Yahweh appeared in the cloud. Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, I have heard the grumblings of the children of Israel. Speak to them, saying, between the evenings you are to eat meat, and in the morning you are to be satisfied with bread. And you shall know that I am Yahweh, your Elohim. And it came to be that the quails came up at evening and covered the camp, and in the morning the dew lay all around the camp. And the layer of dew went up, and see, on the surface of the wilderness was a small round substance, as fine as frost on the ground. And the children of Israel saw, and they said to each other, What is it? For they did not know what it is. And for anybody that doesn't know, manna means, what is it? And Moshe said to them, It is the bread which Yahweh has given you to eat. This is the word which Yahweh has commanded. Let every man gather it according to each one's needs, and omer for each being, according to the number of beings. Let every man take for those who are in his tent. Don't be greedy. And the children of Israel did so, and gathered, some more, some less. See, even something simple like that, they can't follow. But we're no different. And they measured it by omers. And he who gathered much did not have too much. And he who gathered little did not have too little. Each one gathered according to his need. And Moshe said, Let no one leave any of it until morning. And they did not listen to Moshe. So some of them left part of it until morning. And it bred worms and stank. And Moshe was wroth with them. See? Simple request. Can't follow it. But you have to remember, their Elohim was their stomach. So that's why they rebelling. And they gathered it every morning, each one according to his need. And when the sun became hot, it melted. And it came to be on the 6th day that they gathered twice as much bread, 2 omers for each one. And the rulers of the congregation came and told Moshe. And he said to them, This is what Yahweh has said. Tomorrow is a rest, a Sabbath set apart to Yahweh. That which you bake, bake. That which you cook, cook. And lay up for yourselves all that is left over, to keep it until morning. And they laid it up until morning, as Moshe commanded. And it did not stink, and no worm was in it. Moshe said, Eat it today, for today is the Sabbath to Yahweh. Today you do not find it in the field. Gather it 6 days, but on the 7th day, which is the Sabbath, there is none. And it came to be that some of the people went out on the 7th day to gather, but they found none. Yahweh said to Moshe, How long shall you refuse to guard my commands, my Torah? See, because Yahweh has given you the Sabbath, therefore he has given you bread for 2 days on the 6th day. Let each one stay in his place. Do not let anyone go out of his place on the 7th day. So the people rested on the 7th day, and the house of Israel called its name manna. And it was like white coriander seed, and the taste of it was like thin cakes made with honey. And Moshe said, This is the word which Yahweh has commanded. Fill an omer with it to keep your generations, so that they see the bread which I fed you in the wilderness when I brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim. And Moshe said to Aharon, Take a pot and put an omer of manna in it, and set it down before Yahweh to keep your generations. Excuse me. As Yahweh commanded Moshe, so did Aharon set it down before the witness to keep. And the children of Israel ate manna 40 years until they came to an inhabited land. They ate manna until they came to the border of the land of Canaan. We joke a lot, at least our congregation. I'm sure other people do too. We joke about verse 3. Oh, pots of meat, Mitzrayim. But Yahweh does not take complaining lightly. It angers him. So think twice before you complain, because it doesn't please him. We've all read through the blessings and the curses in Deuteronomy 27:28. I don't want to read them all because that's a whole however many part series teaching just on that alone. Just want to read a few verses out of Deuteronomy 28, verses 47 through 53. Because you did not serve Yahweh your Elohim with joy and gladness of heart for all the plenty, you shall serve your enemies whom Yahweh sends against you in hunger and in thirst and nakedness and in need of all. And he shall put a yoke of iron on your neck until he has destroyed you. Yahweh brings a nation against you from afar, from the end of the earth, as swift as eagles fly, a nation whose language you shall not understand, a fierce-looking nation which shows no regard for the elderly, nor show favor to the young. And they shall eat the fruit of your livestock and the fruit of your land until you are destroyed. They leave you no grain, nor new wine, nor oil, nor the increase of your cattle, or the offspring of your flocks, until they have destroyed you. They shall besiege you at all your gates, till your high and fenced walls, in which you are trusting, come down in all your land. And they shall besiege you at all your gates, in all your land which Yahweh your Elohim has given you. You shall eat the fruit of your own body, the flesh of your own sons and daughters, whom Yahweh your Elohim has given you, in the besiege and distress in which your enemies distress you. Now, I'm not saying that if you're not grateful, you're going to eat your kids, the flesh of your kids. But the fact is, Father Yahweh does not like complaining. He wants us to serve him with joy and gladness for all the plenty we have, because we have plenty in the United States. You might hear this YouTube video somewhere else, but here in the U.S. we have plenty, but yet we complain. Part of being grateful, part of that is being grateful for what you're blessed with. We'll see another example of ancient Israel making their stomachs Elohim. Numbers 11, starting in verse 1. And it came to be when the people were as complainers. Oh, here we go again. It was evil in the ears of Yahweh, and Yahweh heard it, and his displeasure burned. It's not good when you read that in Scripture. And the fire of Yahweh burned among them, and consumed those in the outskirts of the camp. And the people cried out to Moshe. Moshe prayed to Yahweh, and the fire died down. They were like, "Oh, we're sorry. We're gonna do it again. Please don't burn us up." So he showed a little mercy then. Let's keep reading, see what happens. Then he called the name of the place Teberah, which means burning, because the fire of Yahweh had burned among them. Do we want to be like ancient Israel and be burned up because of our complaining? You have to ask yourself that. Here's another question to ask yourself. How much value does complaining bring to my life or to your life? It's none, zero, zilch, nada, zero. Complaining about a problem in your life does not fix it, does not make it better. Verse 4. And the mixed multitude who were in the midst lusted greatly. So the children of Israel also wept again and said, "Who's giving us meat to eat? We remember the fish we ate without cost in Mitzrayim, the cucumbers, the melons, the leeks, the onions, the garlic. But now our throat is dried up. There is naught to look at but this old stinking manna." Now the manna was like coriander seed, and its appearance like the appearance of bdellium. The people went about and gathered it, ground it on millstones, or beat it in the mortar, and cooked it in a pot, and made cakes of it. And its taste was the taste of cakes baked with oil. And when the dew fell on the camp at night, the manna fell on it. Moshe heard the people weeping through their clans, each man at the door of his tent. And the displeasure of Yahweh burned exceedingly. And in the eyes of Moshe it was evil. So Moshe said to Yahweh, "Why have you done evil to your servant? Why have I not found favor in your eyes to put the burden of all these people on me? Was it I who conceived all these people? Was it I who brought them forth? that you should say to me, carry them in your bosom, as a foster father carries a nursing child, to the land which you swore to your fathers. Where am I to get meat to give to all these people? For they weep before me, saying, give us meat to eat. I am unable to bear all these people alone, because the burden is too heavy for me. And if you are doing this to me, please slay me altogether. Please take me out of my misery. If I have found favor in your eyes, and let me not see my evil. Then Yahweh said to Moshe, gather to me 70 men of the elders of Israel, whom you know to be elders of the people and officers over them, and bring them to the tent of meeting, and let them stand there with you. And I shall come down and speak with you there, and shall take of the spirit that is on you, and put on them, and shall bear the burden of the people with you, so that you do not bear it yourself alone. We got some mercy going on. And say to the people, set yourselves apart for tomorrow, and you shall eat meat, because you have wept in the hearing of Yahweh, saying, who is giving us meat to eat? For it is well with us in Mitzrayim. And Yahweh shall give you meat, and you shall eat. You're going to eat, not 1 day, nor 2 days, nor 5 days, nor 10 days, nor 20 days, but for a month of days, until it comes out of your nostrils, and becomes an abomination to you, because you have rejected Yahweh, who is among you, and have wept before him, saying, why did we come out of Mitzrayim? Moshe said, the people in whose midst I am are 600,000 men on foot. And you have said, I give them meat to eat for a month of days? Could flocks and herds be slaughtered for them to be sufficient for them? Or could all the fish of the sea be gathered together for them to be sufficient for them? Yahweh said to Moshe, is the arm of Yahweh too short? Now see whether my words meet you or not. And Moshe went out and spoke to the people the words of Yahweh, and he gathered 70 men of the elders of the people and placed them around the tent. And Yahweh came down in the cloud and spoke to him, and took of the spirit that was upon him, and placed the same upon the 70 elders. And it came to be, when the spirit rested upon them, that they prophesied, but did not continue. However, 2 men had remained in the camp. The name of one was Eldad, and the name of the other was Medad. And the spirit rested upon them. Now they were among those listed. I wonder if that's talking about the book of life right there. It's a very interesting phrase. Anyways, moving on. But did not go out to the tent, and they prophesied in the camp. And a young man ran and informed Moshe, and said, Eldad and Medad are prophesying in the camp. And Yehoshua, son of Nun, Moshe's assistant from his youth, answered and said, Moshe, my master, forbid them. Then Moshe said to him, are you jealous for my sake? Oh, that all the people of Yahweh were prophets, that Yahweh will put his spirit upon them. And Moshe returned to the camp, both he and the elders of Yisrael. And a wind went forth from Yahweh, and it brought quail from the sea, and let them fall beside the camp, about a day's journey on this side, and about a day's journey on the other side, all around the camp, and about 2 cubits above the surface of the ground. And the people were up all that day, and all that night, and the next day, and gathered quail. He who has least gathered 10 homers, and they spread them out for themselves all around the camp. Here we go. The meat was still between their teeth before it was chewed, and the wrath of Yahweh burned against the people. And Yahweh smote the people with an exceeding great plague. Then he called the name of that place Kibroth Hattawa, because they buried the people who had lusted. I want to read verse 33 again, because it's very powerful. The meat was still between their teeth before it was chewed, and the wrath of Yahweh burned against the people. And Yahweh smote the people with an exceedingly great plague. You have to ask yourself, do you want to be like ancient Israel, complaining and making your stomach your Elohim instead of Yahweh? The end result was no bueno. So I want to read a couple quotes about complaining. Pretty cool. Instead of complaining, that the rose bush is full of thorns, be glad that the thorn bush has roses. It's a proverb. I had no shoes and complained until I met a man who had no feet. It's an Indian proverb. The man who complains about the way the ball bounces is likely the one who dropped it. That's Lou Holtz, college football coach, former. We can throw stones, complain about them, stumble on them, climb over them, or build with them. That's William Arthur Ward. He's the author. So it's funny to me that during the time, which you're getting close to it, of Thanksgiving, you see people on Facebook, Twitter, all kinds of social media, at work, other places, sharing what they are grateful for. Nothing wrong with that. That's cool and all. But what about the rest of the year? What about the other 11 months of the year? Why not share what you're thankful, grateful for all year round? In our society of plenty, it is very easy to look at someone else that has more than us and be envious, not thankful or grateful for what we have, whatever it is. If you are not grateful for what you already have, if you are blessed with more, you will just have more to be ungrateful for. Or said another way, if you are not grateful for everything that you already have, why would the Creator bless you with more? If you have an old rust bucket car and you don't take care of it, you complain, man, this thing is a piece of junk, man, just bought a battery, man, this car drives me crazy. I want a new car so bad. If you're not grateful for what you have, you think He's going to bless you with something else? Don't think so. So let's look at a few verses that Paul wrote in Philippians 2:14 through 16. Do all matters with grumblings and disputings. In order that you be blameless and faultless, children of Elohim without blemish, in the midst of a crooked and perverse generation, among whom you shine as lights in the world, holding on to the word of life, for a boast to me in the day of Messiah, that I have not run in vain or labored in vain. That's pretty tough to do all matters without grumbling. So we've looked at some complaining verses. Let's look at some grateful verses. Psalms 34, 1 through 4. I bless Yahweh at all times. Not some of the time, part of the time, a little bit of the time. It says all at all times. His praise is continually in my mouth. My being makes its boast in Yahweh. Let the humble hear and be glad. Oh, make Yahweh great with me, and let us exalt His name together. I sought Yahweh, and He answered me, and delivered me from all my fears. Psalms 107. 1 through 8. Give thanks to Yahweh, for He is good, for His kindness is everlasting. Let the redeemed of Yahweh say so, whom He has redeemed from the hand of the adversary, and gathered out of the lands from east and from west, from north and from south. They wandered in the wilderness, in a desert way. They found no city to dwell in. Hungry and thirsty, there you go. Their being in them grew faint. Then they cried out to Yahweh in their distress. He delivered them out of their troubles. And He guided them by the right way, to go to a city to settle. Let them give thanks to Yahweh for His kindness and His wonders to the children of men. Psalms 136. These are some really cool verses. Let's see. 1 through 26. Give thanks to Yahweh, for He is good, for His kindness is everlasting. Give thanks to the Elohim of mighty ones, for His kindness is everlasting. Give thanks to the Master of masters, for His kindness is everlasting. To Him who alone does great wonders, for His kindness is everlasting. To Him who by wisdom made the heavens, for His kindness is everlasting. To Him who spread the earth on the waters, for His kindness is everlasting. To him who made great lights, his kindness is everlasting. The sun to rule by day, for his kindness is everlasting. The moon and stars to rule by night, for his kindness is everlasting. To him who smote Mizraim in their firstborn, for his kindness is everlasting, and brought out Yisrael from their midst, his kindness is everlasting. With a strong hand and with an outstretched arm, for his kindness is everlasting. To him who split apart the sea of reeds, for his kindness is everlasting, and made Yisrael pass through the midst of it, for his kindness is everlasting. But shook off Pharaoh and his army in the sea of reeds, for his kindness is everlasting. To him who led his people through the wilderness, for his kindness is everlasting. To him who smote great sovereigns, for his kindness is everlasting, and slew mighty sovereigns, for his kindness is everlasting. Even Sihon, sovereign of the Amorites, for his kindness is everlasting, and Og, sovereign of Bashan, for his kindness is everlasting, and gave the land as an inheritance, for his kindness is everlasting. An inheritance to Yisrael, his servant, for his kindness is everlasting. Who remembered us in our humiliation, for his kindness is everlasting, and rescued us from our adversaries, for his kindness is everlasting. Who gives food to all flesh, for his kindness is everlasting, spiritual and physical food. Give thanks to the El of the heavens, for his kindness is everlasting. The kindnesses of Yahweh. Oh, I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself. Next verse of scripture is Lamentations chapter 3, 22 to 26. The kindnesses of Yahweh. That's what threw me off. For we have not been consumed, for his compassions have not ended. For they are new every morning. Great is your trustworthiness. Yahweh is my portion. Wow. What a great statement. Yahweh is my portion, says my being. Therefore I wait for him. Yahweh is good to those waiting for him, to the being who seeks him. It is good both to wait and to be silent for the deliverance of Yahweh. These couple verses are very interesting because you have a ton of bad stuff happening in the context of the whole book of Lamentations. But all of a sudden you read about Yahweh's mercy and compassion instead of his judgment, just for a few verses. Let's go back to Paul. Read Colossians 3, 15 through 17. Let the peace of Elohim rule in your hearts, to which indeed you were called in one body, and be filled with thanks. Be filled with thanks. Let the word of Messiah dwell in you richly, teaching and admonishing one another in all wisdom, singing with pleasure in your hearts to the Master in psalms and songs of praise and spiritual songs. Not sure what the difference is between the two. But whatever you do in word or deed, do all in the name of the Master, Yahushua, giving thanks to Elohim the Father through him. It's easy to read verse 15 where Paul's saying, have shalom in your hearts. But it's a challenge to actually do it with all the trials and tribulations we go through in our lives. We had a pretty bad thing happen recently to a couple in our congregation. The father had a really young boy, really young, he's almost 2. Maybe it's 2. Anyways, he's an infant. He's a boy. He walks around, gets in everything. He's full of energy. So his dad made some herbal tea, which he does every morning. And his wife called him over, or called him on the other side of the house to the bathroom real quick. And he stepped away just for a few seconds. And then the young boy, just curious, he bam, pulled the tea on him, and he burnt 15% of his body, and it was really rough thing to happen to some parents. I can't relate because I don't have my own kids, but I can only imagine what they're going through. That was a very challenging time, and it was very hard in that moment, and even till now, because he's not completely healed, to have shalom in your hearts. Sometimes it's very challenging, hard to do that. But we should turn to Yahweh at all times, especially when hard times. We should pray to Him every day, no matter what's going on. 1 Thessalonians 5:15 through 18. See that no one renders evil for evil to anyone, but always pursue what is good for both, for yourselves and for all. Rejoice always, pray without ceasing. In all circumstances give thanks. For this is the desire of Elohim and Messiah for Yeshua for you. Boy, that's a hard one. In all circumstances give thanks. If somebody knows how to do that better than me, please make a video and I'll watch it. Because I haven't got that one perfected yet. Psalms 23. It's the last scripture. The whole chapter. A whopping 6 verses. Yahweh is my shepherd. I do not lack. He provides for us. Wherever we're at in our life, He will provide. He will make a way. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He turns back my being. He leads me in the path of righteousness for His name's sake. When I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil. For you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You spread before me a table in the face of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil. My cup runs over. Only goodness and kindness follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of Yahweh to the length of days. I'm going to read verse 5 one more time. You spread before me a table in the face of my enemies. You have anointed me with my head with oil. My cup runs over. So, is your cup half empty, half full, or does it run over? Attitudes are contagious. You can see this anytime, anywhere in life. Someone with a negative attitude can come in a room and just take all the energy out of the room, all the life out of the room. With a negative attitude and complaints about everything that's going wrong in the world. But you can have a positive person walk into the same room with a positive attitude and brighten it up with their positive energy and encouragement. So, you have to ask yourself, what type of attitude are you sharing with the world? Let's not be like ancient Israel and complain, but have an attitude of gratitude. An attitude of gratitude. One of the best ways to have more joy or shalom in your home is to be grateful. So when I was doing research on this sermon, I found a really cool website. It's www.365grateful.com. That's www.365grateful.com. What that site is, there was the owner, author of the site, whatever you want to call it. She's a photographer, and she was suffering from depression. So she was like, man, what can I do to get out of this depression? So she went and talked to another lady, and the lady said, one of the best things to get over that, have joy, peace in your life, is to be grateful. So what she did was, once every day for a whole year, she took a picture of something she was grateful for. So you can imagine by the time of the end of that year, she had a whole different perspective on life. And she did not suffer from depression anymore. There's some really cool videos on that website. But to end, I want to read something that I found at the house. And I'm going to read it, and the title of it is, I'm Thankful For. Maybe it'll help you get a great perspective. I'm thankful for the wife who says, it's hot dogs tonight, because she is home with me, and not out with someone else. For the husband who is on the sofa being a couch potato, because he is home with me and not out at the bars. For the teenager who is complaining about doing dishes, because that means she is at home, not on the streets. For the taxes that I pay, because it means that I am employed. For the mess to clean after a party, because it means that I have been surrounded by friends. For the clothes that fit a little too snug, because it means I have enough to eat. For my shadow that watches me work, because it means I am out in the sunshine. For a lawn that needs mowing, windows that need cleaning, and gutters that need fixing, because it means I have a home. For all the complaining I hear about the government, because it means that we have freedom of speech. For the parking spot I find at the far end of the parking lot, because it means I am capable of walking, that I have been blessed with transportation. For my huge heating bill, because it means I am warm. For the lady behind me at worship that sings off key, because it means that I can hear. For the pile of laundry and ironing, because it means I have clothes to wear. For weariness and aching muscles at the end of the day, because it means I have been capable of working hard. For the alarm that goes off in the early morning hours, because it means that I am alive. And finally, for too much email, because it means I have friends who are thinking of me. Before I end, I gave this a couple weeks ago during our Feast Tabernacles, and I mentioned something else, and I forgot to mention it because I wrote it in my notes then. There's a lot of people that complain about, I'm talking to the United States citizens, complain about our government. Oh, they're evil, they do this, they do that. Yes, I'm not disagreeing. But we have freedom of speech, freedom of religion. It's the First Amendment. Maybe that will be taken away at some point, but right now, we can go to our congregation, observe Sabbath. We can go to feast sites and observe the feasts. We can eat clean. We can wear the tzitzits. We can call on the Father's name. If you go to a country like Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Iran, I would love to see you go try and do that stuff. See how long you live. You can even go to Israel, the set apart land. You can't call on his name there. You can't even wear tzitzits. You might be able to keep Sabbath, maybe the feast days. You can't even call on his name. So be grateful for the country you live in and stop complaining about the government so much. Yes, they're evil and they don't care about us. Be thankful for what you have. So to end, I have a homework assignment if you're interested. When I gave this a couple weeks ago at our Feast Tabernacle celebration, after the recording was off, I asked everybody in the room to, and I started off giving a couple things they're thankful for, and it was really cool. It made my wife teary-eyed. But challenge or homework assignment for anybody watching, take out a piece of paper or take out your iPhone, notepad app, whatever, and write down everything that you can think of that you're thankful for, you're grateful for. You might think of something later, you can come back and add to the list. Get up in the morning, read it. Maybe read it once during the day. Read it before you go to bed. Read it. It will give you another different perspective that you didn't have before. If you have trouble complaining currently, it will help that, because it's helped me. Yah bless. Shalom.